You see hundreds of them every single day, but have you ever stopped to wonder what's really inside that black rubber circle we call a tire? Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and uncover the secret recipe of one of the most common, yet seriously misunderstood objects in our daily lives.
Okay, let's just get one thing straight right off the bat. The idea that a tire is just some simple chunk of molded rubber, that's a myth. It's about as outdated as a car with a hand crank. The reality is, well, it's way more complex and, frankly, a whole lot more interesting.
So if it's not just a big rubber donut, what are we actually riding on every day? What is this thing? The answer? It might just surprise you.
Honestly, the best way to think about a modern tire is like a super high-tech layer cake. Seriously, it's a very precise recipe with over 200 different ingredients, all assembled in a specific order and then baked to absolute perfection.
But before we even get to the ingredients for this cake, we have to appreciate the incredible engineering challenge a tire has to solve. It's basically a masterclass in managing contradictions.
Think about the impossible job a tire has. On one hand, it has to be soft and sticky enough to grip the asphalt like glue. But on the other hand, it also has to be tough enough to not wear out for tens of thousands of miles. It's got to flex and absorb every single bump in the road, but at the same time be rigid enough to respond instantly when you turn the steering wheel. Solving that puzzle, that is the entire secret to modern tires.
So how in the world do engineers solve that great contradiction? How do they pull it off? Well, the answer is all in that recipe. They don't use just one material, they use hundreds.
And yeah, you're seeing that number right. Over 200 different raw materials can go into making a single tire. This is not just a bucket of rubber, it's a complex chemical soup where every single ingredient has a very, very specific job to do.
Now, while there are hundreds of ingredients, they pretty much fall into a few key families. Think of these as the flour, the sugar, and the eggs of our tire cake. You've got natural and synthetic rubbers that form the base, and then you have these crucial additives that give the tire its superpowers.
Ever wonder why tires are black? Well, here's your answer. It's a stuff called carbon black. And it's not for style, not at all. This incredibly fine soot, which is a byproduct of burning hydrocarbons, is a super powerful reinforcing agent. It makes the tire dramatically stronger and more durable. And get this, it also protects the rubber from being broken down by the sun's UV rays.
And here's a more modern ingredient, silica. It's basically a really high-tech form of sand. In what they call green tires, silica helps lower what's known as rolling resistance. That's the energy your car loses just from the tires rolling down the road. So less resistance means better fuel economy for you. Plus, it helps the tire grip way better in the rain. Better mileage and better safety, all from a little bit of fancy sand.
And now for what our source material calls the magic ingredient, sulfur. See, on its own, a mix of rubber and all these fillers is just a sticky, useless putty. It's good for nothing. But when you add sulfur and heat, this incredible chemical reaction called vulcanization happens. It creates these strong cross-links between rubber molecules, and it transforms that sticky mess into the strong, elastic material we all know. Without sulfur, there is no modern tire, period.
Okay, so we've got our ingredients. Now it's time to actually assemble our layer cake. And just like a real cake, a tire is built systematically, one layer at a time, starting from the inside and working our way out.
The whole thing happens on a big rotating drum. First, they wrap on an airtight inner liner. Then come the body plies. These are fabric layers that give the tire its basic shape and flexibility. Next, they add the beads, which are these strong steel hoops that clamp the tire onto the wheel rim. Then comes the real armor, the steel belts, which are there to prevent punctures. And finally, the thick tread layer, the part that actually touches the road, is applied right on top. So once all those layers are put together, you have something that's known in the industry as a green tire. Now, it looks like a tire, kind of, but it doesn't have any tread pattern, and the rubber itself is super soft and tacky. The chewing gum comparison is perfect. It has almost no structural strength. It's not nearly ready for the road yet.
This next step is the moment of truth. This soft, gummy green tire now goes into the oven for its final transformation. This is where all that chemistry we just talked about really happens.
This is the crucial change right here. Before the bake, the rubber compound is plastic, meaning you can mold it and shape it. But after the bake, it becomes elastic. It's strong, it's bouncy, and it's resilient. This is that vulcanization process in action, turning that soft gum into the tough rubber that we need.
So the green tire is placed inside this heavy metal mold that's basically a giant high-tech waffle iron. A rubber bladder on the inside inflates with incredibly hot steam at pressures up to 350 psi. This immense pressure forces the soft rubber into every little groove of the mold, which imprints the tread pattern and all the lettering on the side. At the same time, the high heat, around 70 degrees Celsius, activates the sulfur, vulcanizing the rubber and locking everything into its final super strong form.
Okay, the tire is baked, it's strong, and it has its tread, but it's not ready for your car just yet. Now comes the final, and maybe the most critical stage of all, inspection. Because when it comes to tires, safety is everything.
Every single tire goes through this intense inspection. First, it's trimmed of any little bits of excess rubber from the mold. Then, it's spun on a special machine to make sure it's perfectly balanced and perfectly round, which is key for a smooth ride. And finally, some tires are even pulled for an X-ray inspection to make sure the internal steel belts and everything else are perfectly placed. Only after passing all of these tests is a tire finally ready for the road.
So the next time you get in your car, take a look at your tires and remember what's really there. It's not just a piece of black rubber, it's a symphony of chemistry and engineering, a carefully assembled layer cake of over 200 ingredients, baked to perfection to solve a whole set of impossible problems. It's a true engineering marvel that we all rely on every single day.